If the presidential election were held tomorrow, would you vote to re-elect Donald Trump, or would you vote for somebody else, maybe Hillary Clinton?
To answer the question, though, certainly would not be voting for Hillary Clinton. I'll say that. And I do support what our president's moving forward on tax reform and other issues of the day. So, thank you for your question.
So could you please clarify, if the election was tomorrow, would you vote for Trump or Hillary, and why?
I think I made myself clear. My opponent made it clear that, she said she would proudly support Hillary Clinton again. And so, the reality is who you vote for president has no indication of how we would be a state representative. You all know me, I'd be a conservative Republican representing this district. And so I'll continue to work on education issues, transportation issues, and issues that are important to the local community.
Still didn't answer it. Still didn't answer the question.
No comments from the audience.
Okay.
You're probably wondering why I'm showing you that video of a guy who won't support Trump. Well, that's Houston Gaines, State Representative Houston Gaines, way back in like 2017, avoiding at all costs embracing Donald Trump. And that might be admirable. But we're the MeidasTouch Network. Right? That's an admirable thing. But here's the problem. He ain't anymore. So now that Houston Gaines has decided to run for the open seat in Georgia's 10th Congressional District, as you know, Mike Collins, if you don't know, Mike Collins, who's a queen, king, top of the matter, Trump sycophant in Northeast Georgia, has decided to run for Senate. He's going to give himself a pay raise, allegedly. He is all in on Trump race. So now, last spring, July, Houston Gaines is suddenly now on the Trump train. He's getting endorsements from Jim Jordan because he's going to support, let me read it. He's going to be advanced the President Trump, the America First agenda. So why do you join the Trump train in July of 2025? I have questions. I have many questions, but that's where we're at. But here's the best part. The best part, he's got a real opponent in this race, in Democrat Lexy Doherty. Now, you may know that name. If you've watched this show for a while, we've been doing these hot seats for 3 years now. And Lexy, of course, is one of my favorite things you guys know here in this MeidasTouch. I love second-time candidates. And Lexy's thrown her hat back in the ring to take on the 10th district, now an open seat, which is always up for grabs, especially in this day and age. It is a blue wave year. So look, I am so excited. She was with us 2 years ago. I wanted to get Lexy back in the hot seat again. So I'm excited to have her with us today. I'm Fred Wellman. This is In the Hot Seat with FP Wellman. And let's sit down and have it in the hot seat with Lexy Doherty. Lexy, welcome back. It's good to see you again.
You too. Glad to be here.
Congratulations on the second run. I love second-time candidates. It's like you learn a lot of lessons. I mean, I've worked in politics a minute, and that first time's a lot like drinking from a fire hose. And I love seeing second-time candidates. So congratulations. You got an open seat now. That changes the dynamic dramatically, especially in a year like this. We had a lot to talk about, but I always ask the same question to start off with. You did run before. It is hard to run for Congress. Northeast Georgia it's a big district. 10th district's a really big district. So why did you decide to run again for Congress?
Well, we have the same problems we had a couple years ago when I first decided to run. And if anything, we have more problems to tackle now that we have this out of control president, leading the country. So, I think we got a better shot at flipping the seat this time with it being open. And, I've got a base of support coming into this midterm. So I figured it's important to give it another go.
Yeah, and that's so important to talk about. Mike Collins was a huge Trump. I mean, obviously, he is all in the Trump train. I'm not going to show a video of Mike Collins because I don't want to get that guy anymore. And Houston Gaines, who's your lead opponent, has also now joined that, so he can get those endorsements from people like Jim Jordan. Like, why you'd want Jim Jordan endorse? It is crazy. I was looking online, like, oh my God, this guy, and now he's talking America First. That's crazy. But it's been an insane couple of weeks for the country. Between what's happening in Minnesota with out of control ICE agents, masked agents of the government picking up kids. 5-year-old kid was grabbed. You see the Greenland debacle. I know your district. Your district is very diverse and very, again, your opponent is resisting criticizing Trump. So it looks like got yet another Republican who's going to go to Washington and not serve as a check on an out of control executive. I mean, is that something you're focused on quite a bit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am running to represent a very diverse, very working class district, like you said. And this is a district that wants a representative who is going to be focused on the issues that matter in their everyday lives, not trying to take control of Greenland for some unknown reason. You know, we want a representative that's actually going to fight for the issues that make our lives better every single day. And I don't think that is going to come from a Republican representative who just wants to sign off on anything Trump wants at this point.
Yeah. And what a strange point to join that Trump train. I mean, we are seeing a great backlash. There is, you know, Democrats have been winning special elections ever since, you know, 2025 was a very successful year for Democrats. And I think it's a frustration to people. I'm sure you're hearing as you do doors or as you do town halls at this point and talk to people, are you hearing a lot of frustration with how to control things are in Washington?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is, like I said, a very kind of normal working class district. There's not a lot of super tuned in politico types.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we have a lot of kind of average conservative people that are absolutely sick of this. And so it's bewildering to me that, like you said, in the summer of 2025, for someone to wake up and decide now is the time to back this president, I just don't understand.
Well, it's a desperation move, isn't it? And along those lines, that I do, and not to pull that thread too much on federal issues or the executive branch, but it does go to corruption too. I mean, you have to ask yourself a question. I think corruption become a major issue for us to guard. Going back that unchecked executive, I think a report came out this week that Trump has now made $1.4 billion since he's been in office. We're seeing, we found out this week that one of the Doge guys actually signed a deal with a group to sell our social security information to voter rolls. I mean, there's got to be, and I know Georgians. I lived in Georgia. I know Northeast Georgia, in the mountains and the rural areas. They're not probably loving the idea of such corrupt actions occurring in our name and our government being disassembled, are they?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, you talk to people all the time. Nobody is.
Yep.
What I hear from people is, you know, one of the things that they are the most sick of is another corrupt politician that just wants to be there for their own pocketbook. And, you know, I think there's so many things we could talk about with Trump, but one of the things that bothers me the most is it's all a cover for him and his friends to get rich. And, you know, from the corruption to the chaos, it all comes back to, doesn't matter what happens to the rest of us because they're getting rich. And it just makes me and a lot of other folks around here absolutely crazy.
Yeah, something I say a lot when I'm talking to folks is, you know, this is America. It's a capitalist country. Great. I have no problem with people making their money. It's great. Make your bone how you want to.
Yeah.
But in the end, part of my frustration with this corruption and this out of control, almost gangster capitalism, right, is they're pulling the ladder up behind them as they go, right? That those folks who are getting rich are, one, rubbing in our faces, you know, but two, the average working folks like us and the folks you represent or will represent aren't getting the same opportunities. I mean, affordability, you know, they want us to say affordability is a fake thing, but your portion of Georgia is very rural and agriculture, but also you've got Athens, which is a working class. It's an industrial, you know, town, not just a university, but it's a I mean, how is this affordability crisis coming home to roost in Northeast Georgia right now?
Yeah, it's funny. We've been beating this affordability drum since before it was cool, I like to say.
Right. I mean, same thing, because it's a real thing, right? Yeah, it's not a talking point. It's our lives, isn't it?
Exactly. We're struggling to pay rent. We're struggling to afford healthcare. You probably know Georgia is one of the states that still hasn't expanded Medicaid. And now this administration and this Congress is pulling out the rug for subsidies that people here need. So, but from groceries to housing, truly, you know, people are in a crisis because costs are going up and wages aren't. And, you know, we want a representative that's going to actually focus on those issues.
Yeah. And let's talk about healthcare. I think a lot of people had this idea that Medicaid, Medicare, as you mentioned, has not been expanded in Georgia, that these are, I think Dan Crenshaw went on TV, a congressman from Texas, saying, oh, the poor will find a way, people on the ACA. It's not poor, right? I mean, you're in a college town. You're in a town that probably has a lot of Athens and of course, Georgia. I know for a fact, a lot of farmers use the ACA. I mean, there is angst and there's a concern about this loss of the ACA subsidies and the cost and of course Medicaid's challenges.
Oh, absolutely. And so I'm not sure if you know, my background is I grew up in my mom's small business. So she was someone that for a long time had to buy her own health insurance since before the Affordable Care Act. And so we saw firsthand how the Affordable Care Act brought prices down for people that needed to buy their own insurance on the marketplace, like small business owners. So now without these subsidies, we've got even more of these really hardworking families losing their affordable health care. And it just makes life harder every single day.
Yeah, and that's going to be a major issue as you look at small businesses in your district. I know Athens has got a robust, like, downtown, a small business community.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I imagine they're a little scared right now as they look at how they're going to try and make ends meet and keep their businesses, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it just comes back to, this is something we're all worried about. Anyone that has to pay bills every month, you know, works for a living, is wondering how they're going to make their dollars stretch, because everything's getting more expensive every single day.
How are you going to fight that? I mean, when you go to Congress, I'm sure you've heard everybody say, "Oh, it's not good enough to be against something." You have some plans in place, I imagine, to go up to DC and try and fight for the folks you're supposed to represent, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. So the first thing I would do if I could is raise the minimum wage. So in places like Georgia, our state minimum wage is still, I think, $5.15. Of course, the federal overrides that, but you know, we have thousands of people in my district making less than $15 an hour, and millions more across the country. We could raise the minimum wage tomorrow and instantly make people's lives better. So that, to me, is my number one thing, is that, you know, it's not just this cost question, it's also the question of wages. You know, people that are working a full-time job deserve to be making enough money to pay their bills. And that, to me, just should be the baseline.
Yeah, I get that completely. And of course, do you hear from the college? I know you're in the college town. How are college kids? I mean, what are they thinking right now? I mean, I talked to a lot of folks telling me they're worried about their kids' futures, and the kids are worried too. I even have a good friend of mine who's my age, who's back in grad school. There seems to be a worry of what they face in the near future, not so much the far future.
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. So I'm still paying student loans, so I'm
Well,
one
there
of
you
those
go.
people. So you got kids coming out of college with all of these loans that were promised this American dream of get an education, get a good job, work hard, get ahead. And, you know, the rug is just being pulled out from under them. And then, you know, I think about, on top of just the cost question, we have the AI question. So we have all of these industries that have been stable for a long time, you know, and I like to remind everyone, the reason all of these businesses are pursuing AI is because they want to cut jobs. You know, to them, it's a profit maker. So I think we should be thinking about, how do we make sure people have jobs? I think we need to be talking about a federal jobs guarantee. You know, if people want to work, we should be able to put them to work, and they should be paid a living wage for their time. So I think there's a lot of creative things we can do in Congress to make sure that we take care of people, and that our hardworking American families are able to get ahead, and not just the ultra wealthy get a few more bucks to line their pocket.
I love it. That's the mission right there, because we got to represent the 750,000 plus people who live in a district. It's not just the wealthy few. That's wonderful. So I always, as always, here on the hot seat, the most important question is the last one. How can people find out more about your run? Maybe chip in a few bucks to the Meidas Mighty. We have a wonderful team here, wonderful supporters. How can they get hold of you? Maybe chip in and volunteer.
So our website is just LexyDoherty.com. I also have found out that doesn't matter how you spell Lexy or Doherty. You can, if you Google me, you can find me. Apparently not many of us running around. So it's just LexyDoherty.com. We're on all of the socials. One of the beautiful things about this race is that we're not in a big city like New York or Chicago. A few dollars here really goes a long way. So anything you can chip in is going to help us reach more voters. And, you know, we're definitely trending in the right direction, or in the left direction, I should say, in Georgia.
Oh, makes sense.
So we need to finish the job. And, you know, we have a real opportunity to pick up a seat. This is one of the most flippable seats in the South. So truly, anything you can chip in, anything you can do to spread the word is really going to help us flip this seat.
Perfect. I love it. Well, Lexy, it's great catch up with you again. Congratulations on the run. I think
congratulations to you.
Thank you. It's been an interesting couple of weeks or months, but I appreciate you so much. So yeah, it's an interesting time to be an American. So I really appreciate you, and good luck out there. I look forward to talking again soon.
Appreciate it. Can't wait to be back.
Thank you. Can't wait. Well, another great conversation in the hot seat. You know, we love these conversations. As I say, you're going to see a lot more of these. Lexy's got a great race ahead of her, a very important race. Look, we have a moment. We have a moment. We have a momentum. We have a time. We can do this. This is that time. And Lexy's a great candidate for that. So give her some support down in Georgia 10. I mean, think about that. You flip a seat in Georgia, all these machinations by Trump and his minions to try and fix the system so they can keep their power. We could do it in a lot of ways, and the power is there. Look, if Virginia flipped, every single county in Virginia went left. So there's real opportunity in Georgia. So give your support. Don't dismiss races like Georgia. Again, I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy with FP Wellman, every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the MeidasTouch Network. And this is In the Hot Seat. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a great week.